Hey everybody, thank you for following our podcast thus far into the regular season of the NFL year. Just want to take a moment and just explain real quick. We did not get to record on our normal Thursday night because, like Mal's Giants offensive line, we were unable to show up for work. Because of that, we are recording on a Friday night. This podcast is being done as if we are recording on a Wednesday night, so Thursday night's game is not being calculated into any stats or any type of conversation that we have moving forward. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 13 Rings podcast. I'm your host, Lucas, with Mal, Maurice, and Earl. And I'm pretty sure out of all of us, only one of us is going to be happy to talk about their team tonight. So, with that being said...
I'm going to be happy. Trust me.
Okay.
Trust.
I trust. I trust the process. And I know that term probably stings Maurice a little bit because he got to feel a little bit of pain this podcast.
Yeah. Processing.
Processing, exactly. So, that being said, we're going to start out with Mal because, well, Mal, I think you know why we're starting out with you.
Yeah, because honestly, it's been the same every week. So, let's start with it. So the Giants played the Miami Dolphins this week, and we lost 31-16. What went wrong?
Everything?
Yeah, pretty much everything went wrong besides the defense sometimes.
One play.
Yeah, one play. I don't know, guys. I don't even know what to say anymore.
I do.
Go, Lucas. You say it first.
I got a hot take for Giants fans.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
You guys could theoretically trade Daniel Jones for Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos actually give you guys compensation for taking on that big contract.
What the hell do I want Russell Wilson for?
Look, that's a lateral move.
Can I speak on this?
Look, just hear me out. Just hear me out. First off, he's a better quarterback. Let's be clear.
Right now?
Right now, I totally agree. I think he's a better quarterback. Look, if you could take on Russell Wilson, who's a better quarterback with draft compensation, which I don't think it's irrational to believe that if the Broncos are trying to rebuild, they would try to move off of him at any cost.
In what way do you think Russell Wilson is a better quarterback?
He has better. Look at his counting stats. He's playing better this year. The Broncos' issues are not his fault. He's playing good, minus the last game. But we're not talking about the last game.
I think the one particular thing is that you're missing in this, Lucas. Yeah, you can switch the quarterbacks, but then Russell Wilson would be in that same problem he was.
I'm not saying that you get Russell Wilson to win for this year. You're not going to win this year.
We're not going to win with Russell Wilson in general.
Regardless,
I think you can. I think you can. And I think you get, if you switch Danny Dips, and yes, I'm going to call him Danny Dips, as Earl has named him, for Russell Wilson, who is a borderline future Hall of Famer. You get it. And like I said, I believe if you do that trade, the Broncos will send you a draft pick to get off of him. And it's not going to be a high draft pick. But and maybe my basketball mind's thinking, Maurice, you know that I know basketball. You know that I think basketball. You understand where I'm coming from this.
I understand this, but one thing you have to take into account is Daniel Jones is 27, Russell Wilson is 34. That's a tough trade. Your window is very small, and with the team, the players the Giants have around them, I don't think that'll be even worthwhile of a trade.
Who's going to protect him if he does make that trade?
That's okay.
Who's going to protect?
Because I'm pretty sure Mal's offensive line is down 2 people next week.
More than 2.
Well, that's what I saw in the injury report.
I think we have 3 starting.
Your center, Thomas, and I don't know who the other guy
Evan
is.
Neal. Not that it matters with Evan Neal, but
you guys hate him now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Evan Neal's a turnstile, but regardless, no way. If my front office trades for Russell Wilson, that's when I throw in the towel.
Not even if they didn't have to give up anything besides Danny Jones?
Nope. Because once again, we're going to take on a big contract that will not lead to anything. To anything.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
If he can't produce with a better offensive line, with a Hall of Fame coach, and two pretty good wide receivers, what makes you think he's going to produce here?
And he's gonna need time to get the ball out. And
yeah,
the
I guess.
Giants line,
I mean, that's
they really need to
you're
address
making
that
a good
first.
point.
If we're going to let go of Daniel Jones at this point, it needs to be for someone worthwhile, and Russell Wilson is not worthwhile.
Well,
And-
it could be
and
worthwhile if you can tank for Caleb Williams.
I mean, 100%.
I don't think
Russell Wilson.
I don't think the Giants want to get a top 2 pick or top pick in the draft. The name that comes to my mind is Justin Fields.
Yeah.
He's starting to play hot. I don't think Chicago's going to trade him if he keeps it up.
If the Bears get the number 1 pick, they're definitely going to move him.
You think so?
Yeah.
For Caleb Williams, yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if
Carolina
I'll say this: if that's the case, there are plenty of teams that can outbid New York. So I don't know if he goes to New York, but it is a good target to have. So Matt, what went right for the Giants?
Jason Pinnock.
Yeah.
Jason Pinnock went right. He had a 102-yard pick six off Tua, which was awesome, which kept us in that game before halftime. And that's really the only thing that went well. And also Kayvon Thibodeau. He had 2 sacks that game, which is great. Other than that, there was no good things that came from that game yet again. And that's really it. So player of the game for the Giants was Jason Pinnock. He was the one who really scored us all of our points, our only touchdown. So we'll take that.
Question: Saquon's still out, right, for next week?
He's questionable, but I don't foresee him playing with all the injuries we have.
Yeah, I would give him as much rest as rest him for sure.
And now I have a question. When is your bye week?
Week 13.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have a long time.
Dang.
And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think we'll see Daniel Jones again this season.
You think that neck injury is that bad?
Oh, really?
Yeah. In 2019, Daniel Jones hurt his neck and he never came back.
Ooh.
And neck injuries are really, 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 I don't even know the word. It's hard with neck injuries, especially with risking something like that.
That's fair.
So at this point in the season with how things are going, I don't really want him to play with how our offensive line is. I think he's going to get hurt yet again. He's already above the amount of sacks that Andrew Luck was, and look what happened to him.
Yeah, look, he's second in the NFL in sacks so far this year. I would know.
I'm more concerned about Daniel Jones's health and him as a person than him as a quarterback for my team. And I think it's best for him, and I think Dable needs to make the decision to sideline him this year, because at this point,
you don't want to risk anything from it.
Yeah. At this point, we're 1-4. We're approaching 1-5 with playing the Bills this week. And I don't think it's worth it because Daniel Jones he's going to get really hurt. And we need to make sure that we protect him at this point in time as a person, not just as a quarterback. And I won't be happy if he comes back within the next few weeks, because I know after coming back from 2019 how severe this could be. So go with Tyrod. Hope, he can do something. Hope he can stay healthy.
I was about to say, Tyrod's not certain for health either, especially with this offensive line. Do you really want to put any quarterback out there?
Not really. I don't really know what we're going to do at this point, because now at this point we have three starting offensive linemen out, and I'm genuinely nervous for the health of whoever we put out there. So I don't even know what to do.
And it's not even like your starting 5 was spectacular to begin with.
Exactly. I mean, we haven't had Andrew Thomas since that first play of that Dallas game week 1 because of that pulled hamstring. He's the only one that I genuinely feel confident about because he protects the blind side. And we have a tackle there who hasn't even naturally played tackle, who literally almost got Daniel Jones killed. I don't even know what we're going to do moving forward, but we cannot put Daniel Jones out there, especially with a neck injury.
That's more than fair. But on some positive news, Maurice, go ahead.
Yeah. Fly Eagles fly.
Yeah.
5-0.
Yeah.
Feels good to be on top of the NFC East
The
division.
glory was in bounds.
It's still not going to be true, Earl. Lucas, no matter
It
what
is
you
true.
say.
It's true.
You need to put that on a T-shirt.
I could. Do not tempt me. I will.
I've seen the photos, the stills of the foot, but hey, the refs called it a way. A win is a win, right?
Fair. You know
Ain't
what? A win
lying.
is a win. But
Right.
this was not a pretty win for you guys, though, was it?
I would call it a pretty. I would call it a pretty win.
It was
Eagles went out.
close.
Eagles went out to L.A. Beat the Raiders, the Chargers. No, the Rams.
The Rams.
Rams. I'm getting all the LATs mixed up. Beat the Rams 23-14. Jalen Hurts had what he had 25 for 38, 303 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Really good game. I like this one from Jalen Hurts. He actually ran the ball. He used it as a weapon. And because we didn't get much out of Swift and Gainwell rushing wise, 70 yards for Swift, but Jalen Hurts ran for 72 yards on 15 carries and a touchdown. It's kind of a lot of carries for Jalen Hurts, your quarterback, to be rushing for, but it was effective. We neutralized Aaron Donald, and our offense looked pretty good, especially the passing offense. A.J. Brown had 6 receptions for 127, averaged 21 yards a catch. And Dallas Goddard had his breakout game of the season.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, he had 8 catches for 117 yards and 1 touchdown. He averaged 14 yards a catch. So Devontae didn't do anything. He wasn't not the beneficiary this week, so he only got 1 catch for 6 yards. But
He had 5 targets, though. What's going on there? Feels like he's hot or cold.
yeah, I think Jalen Hurts liked to throw the ball deep to Devontae, and a lot of defenses are stopping the deep passes because this is kind of a an explosive offense once they get going. So they're kind of taking away the deep passes, and the Eagles are going to take what's underneath, and that's AJ slants or Goddard on a hot route or anything like that. So I'll take it. I'll take it. The offense looked smooth. The defense looked good too. Jalen Carter had another 2-sack game. Hassan Reddick had 2 big sacks in the fourth quarter. That pretty much sealed the win for us. Outside of that, I didn't see a lot of negatives. One thing I would say went wrong is we do have more injuries.
Yeah, you do.
It's already been reported for our next game coming up against the Jets. Darius Slay and Jalen Carter will both be out.
Yeah, that's a big blow.
Yo, Maurice, what happened to Jalen Carter?
I don't know the exact injury. I do know he was fine after the game. I don't know, but Slay's injury is, I want to say, something that's going to be out for 1 week. Yeah, I don't understand why he's out, but long as he gets better for the next game, that's going to be the big game. That's the game against the Dolphins. So besides that, yeah, go ahead.
Aren't you afraid of Zach Wilson? Like you guys, sorry, I couldn't make it. I couldn't say the joke. No, I mean Zach's playing better, but no, you guys should be okay.
Yeah, we should be okay.
Sure.
Yeah, we have never lost a regular season game to the Jets.
Yeah, I saw that stat. That Mike Greenberg was very adamant that was going to end this week.
Yeah.
Mike
Yeah,
Greenberg
okay.
of ESPN. Gosh, Jets fans just seem kind of unrealistic.
They're very delusional.
Yeah, always their year.
So, like I said, when we're wrong, like just injuries starting to pile up, especially on defense. But when we're right, our passing game is starting to come into form. Our defense is steady, specifically our defensive line. Player of the game, I'll give it to, I'll give it to Jalen. I'll give it to Hassan Reddick because it was good to see a guy who had 17 sacks last season finally start to produce with some sacks, specifically at the end of the game. He pretty much sealed the game for us with that last sack. So I'll give it to Reddick.
Yeah, that's fair. So on that point, now we got to move on to probably my least favorite subject this week, and that's the Washington Commanders. Guys, I know that the Bears, Justin Fields, is starting to figure things out, but there is no way we should go down 27-3 in the first half. DJ Moore looked like Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill against us. Our defensive strategy is horrendous. Our secondary needs work in terms of ability. And I'm going to say it. The riverboat has been sunken. It's time to cut ties with Ron Rivera.
Alrighty.
The good news, okay, I can try to rationalize this loss. We played overtime against the Eagles. It was a shortened week. We won the second half, which we did. We won 17-13 in the second half, but too little, too late. And outside of the 5 sacks, 2 of which were in the last 2 minutes of the game for Sam Howell, he was fantastic. I mean, he had an interception, but 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Had a QBR 46.4, which is not bad. It's not great, but first year of a guy starting, pretty good.
Yeah, Lucas, I will say this was not on Sam Howell at all.
No, it wasn't.
The defense totally sold.
Yeah. Yeah, the defense sucked. And they've been sucking all year. And if you guys have been listening to us, you know how much I've been raving about the defense. Cornerback Emmanuel Forbes, who got benched in the second half. And then on top of that, this defensive front cannot get pressure. And by the way, the Bears were so depleted on the O-line and with the running backs. They ran out of running backs. They had to use their fullback, who was getting yards against us. And their offensive line, they went down at least 2 offensive linemen, I think probably more, during the game. And we could not pressure him. Granted, Justin Fields is an elusive quarterback, but not that elusive. I think on the game, he only had 3 sacks for 9 yards. It's Jack Del Rio definitely has to go. If you can find a replacement, fantastic. I don't think you can during the regular season. And the thing that was really telling, Maurice knows this because he follows, he's the basketball guy. He likes basketball like I do. Magic Johnson, owner of the Commanders, tweeted after the game, stating that that the team came out without energy. And that tells me right there, because Magic Johnson doesn't tweet without purpose. I think that puts the coaching staff on notice, except for maybe Eric Bieniemy. But it should also be noted that I forgot which partial owner said it, but they did say that no wholesale changes are going to be happening during the season, or at least that's the tone of it right now. But I think they should happen. I think you need to give Bieniemy the reins now and see if he can handle it. If so, great.
I will say, Lucas,
not, we need to look at other spots. Yes.
I will say Bieniemy will and is currently the only thing saving your team currently.
Absolutely. Look, he's made Sam Howell look pretty darn good considering the atrocious offensive line.
Yeah. But I will say, and I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Why was Terry not as involved on Thursday night?
So this is something that's been sticking with me because Terry has yet to have a 100-yard game, and I think this season. And I think, if I remember correctly, this streak goes. I think it's 8 games since he's had 8 or 9 games since he's had a 100-yard game. So it's not a Bieniemy thing. It's not even a Sam Howell thing. I don't know if it's a Terry McLaurin thing, or maybe it's just their look. If you look at the targets for this game, Logan Thomas had 11. Everybody else, for the most part, Curtis Samuel had 7, Gibson had 6, McLaurin had 5, Brian Robinson had 4, John Dotson had 5. Logan Thomas having 11 is a little high, but we also know young quarterbacks like their tight ends because they're a safety valve. Also, I think that the way that Sam Howell plays, he likes to spread the ball around, and I don't know if Earl can speak to that more because he played in UNC. Is that the case when he was at UNC, Earl?
Yeah, he spread the ball around to a lot of his playmakers.
So
Mainly they had a good run game, but also when it came to passing, De'Ami Brown was one of his top targets, and then he had 2 other receivers. Josh Downs was one that worked really well. So he got 3 of them involved as well as a tight end. It almost looks identical to North Carolina, but at the same time, you also got to have a line that can protect to give him the time to get the ball out to his skill players.
And there was one play that really sticks out in my mind. It was a deep ball, and De'Ami Brown was wide open, but it literally went right through his hands, and it drove me absolutely nuts. I don't know if you guys saw the play, but I did, and it drove me absolutely
Yeah, I
nuts.
saw that play. I wish De'Ami could have had that back. I think he would have caught it.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. So
Yeah.
I think, look, and here's another interesting stat that I heard on ESPN the morning after. Ron Rivera, since his Super Bowl season in 2015, has only had 1 winning season. That means in 8 years he's had 1 winning season, guys.
That's a whole lot of mediocrity.
That is a whole lot of mediocrity. You're
That is
absolutely
fine.
right. And look, I love Ron Rivera as a person, and he's gone through a lot in his personal life that he's overcome. And if Ron Rivera would want to stay in the front office or as a consultant, cool. But as a head coach, I think he's past his prime.
I think he should be a defensive coordinator.
Maybe. So that's what went wrong. What went right was Sam Howell. Like I said, he had 388 yards, played as well as he could, got off to a slow start. That's kind of his MO, but he picked it up. Like I said, the Commanders' offense outscored the Bears' offense in the second half, 17-13. Just too little, too late on that. I wish that Brian Robinson would have gotten more touches. He only had 10 rushes, but I think you were down too early to really get the running game involved. The player of the game is Sam Howell. I don't even think that's close, but
is 388 his career high?
Yes, it is a career high.
Okay, he was still sacked. He was still sacked 5 times too.
Well, 2 of those sacks came in the last 2 minutes when he was holding it in the pocket and trying to make something deep happen in the deep downfield in like last minute or so. So I don't really count those last 2. But yes, he did have 5 sacks. The offensive line is atrocious. There's really no excuse for it from the front office.
I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Howell is doing the best with what he can, and he is
so
doing the best that he can with what the front office is giving him. And it relates a lot to the Giants because like Daniel Jones can be doing what Sam Howell is doing, but he's not.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me realize that Sam Howell really is coming into his own. And I think you guys are going to be okay moving forward with him.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say this. I think Sam Howell is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones right now.
Agreed.
that
Agreed.
I thought that before no, I didn't
Mhm.
think of that before the preseason, but I thought it was possible. I will say this: not only Ron Rivera needs to go, the front office needs to go. I think there could be a clean sweep outside of Eric Bieniemy this offseason. And if we have a couple more games like this, we're against a team that we should have beat. They were they were winless before entering this game.
Yeah, but Lucas, that happens.
Yeah, I get it. But like,
That's happened.
you need to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat.
I
The
hear ya.
NFC is weak. We could
Yeah.
get into the playoffs if we beat the teams we're supposed to beat, and we didn't this night. So that's really frustrating. So that being said, Earl, I know you've been waiting. You've been chomping at the bit. Tell us
Let's
about
go,
it.
Earl. Let's go.
The floor is yours.
All right. Yep. Y'all already know the score, 42-10. Dallas got beat down pretty bad by the San Francisco 49ers. And it's something that they needed because the way that they came out there, they were soft, flat out soft, kid and head, nicknamed Pillow. Everything that took place in that game made no sense. Mike McCarthy really wanted to be the play caller of this team, in which Kellen Moore got fired. And just the display on the offensive side to at least try to balance out what the defense does, it was a no-show. Dak Prescott had 24 pass attempts. He had 153 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. He was too aggressive in situations where he didn't need to be aggressive. Mike McCarthy beat on the table that he wanted to run the ball. Tony Pollard had 8 attempts, 29 yards, 3.6 average, 1 fumble. Rico had 5 attempts, 15 yards. So the run game was non-existent. They had a total of 57 total rushing yards. And I'm not saying I give 49ers their flowers. They played like they were supposed to. The situation I have with Dallas is that you build your team around running the ball. I don't understand why they started out passing because for some reason, me watching this game, the same play calling reminded me of what Kellen Moore did the last 2 times, but worse. I just think Mike McCarthy is not the play caller like he used to be, and him trying to flex and be that guy to call the plays, it's not happening. I really need to see Brian Schottenheimer call the offense. He is the initial offensive coordinator, and he's not calling the plays. It makes no sense. I'm gonna shift over to the defensive side because they're at fault as well. They were they gave up over 170 yards running the ball, nearly 300 yards passing. The situation I have with the defense, they talk too much. DeMarcus Lawrence said they're the best defense on the planet. Kyle Shanahan decided to show that clip to his team. They were ready to play, but after seeing that clip, they were even more ready. They were ready to pounce on Dallas from that. I'm just to the point now, Dallas, you talk too much. You saw. And for me right now, I need these guys to embrace the dark side. The situation that I mean by dark side is that the media is ridiculing them. People are ridiculing them, saying that they're this, they're that. You got Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp talking about these guys. For me, I would channel all what has been spoken. They already write them as the villain, right? I would embrace that role because it makes no sense that you want to do carpe omnium. That means seize everything. You don't seize everything. Yeah, you can circle. Yeah, we want the Niners. We're ready for this game. But if you go out there and do a performance like you just did, you're going to get your tail whooped. You're lucky I can't cuss up here because I have so many words I would like to say.
Keep it PG, Earl. Keep it
I'm-
PG.
That's what I'm trying to do. All what I'm thinking. They got their tails whooped. I need them to embrace the dark side. I need Micah to stop doing this podcast, giving praises to Kittle and Debo. They are not your buddies, bro.
Earl, he gives
They
praises to everybody.
and that is the problem, Al.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He
I
needs
agree.
he needs to channel the dark side. I need him to tap into it this game coming up against the Chargers. Some way, somehow. Channel it.
This is my
No doubt in
problem
my
with Micah and what he's doing. He cares too much about what the media and what everyone thinks of him because, listen, Dallas is the biggest team in the media besides what everybody thinks. And he is falling into that too much. And therefore, it's taken that dog out of him that we know he has. Just
It's-
focus on what's going on. And that's
So
it.
even if it's the dog, he considers himself a lion. If you know what a lion is, they are a lone lion. They are the
Correct.
leader of the pack.
Correct.
What he's doing in that is hindering his motto of being a lion. He considers himself the lion. I give that to him. But being buddy is not going to get you to where that needs to be. You're going to have to be that villain. You're going to have to be that monster on the field. That you run it, but you also got to perform and show it.
Yep. Focus
So
on the
I do-
Cowboys and only Cowboys. Go ahead,
So-
Lucas.
So, I think the problem is bigger than just that. Earl, I'm gonna tell you two things, and I kind of hinted towards this when we talked on the phone privately earlier this week. I think two things got to change here. I think first off, I don't think Dak's your guy. I think that's become clear now.
Correct.
I don't think he's going to get
He's
that
average.
extension. He's
Agreed.
out. He's out of there.
He's average.
He's average. You get if you're trying to win a championship, you need more than average.
That's not it. Mhm.
Yeah. And look, he can win you regular season games if you got a good team around him and you have the right play caller, which I don't think you do because I think Mike McCarthy is archaic in how he runs offenses. When they ran a three slant on third down, and everybody and their mom knew that was coming. But let's not even worry. I'm not even worried about Mike McCarthy because the big fish here I want to talk about is Jerry Jones. I'm going to talk about Jerry Jones.
Oh,
I'm going to talk about
I-
Jerry Jones here, Earl, because here's my thing. We kind of talked about this before, but I'm going to say this. I think if Jerry Jones wants to be the owner of the Dallas Cowboys and win another championship, he has to stop everything else. He has to become a silent owner. Will that hurt business? Maybe. But I think he's built up the brand enough now to where it doesn't matter. But as somebody that just got rid of a toxic owner, I have a decent idea of what it looks like. And unintentionally, he has made that Dallas team, a sideshow for people like Stephen A. Smith and others
correct.
to laugh at when everything goes wrong. Because like Stephen
I'm
A.
glad you
Smith,
brought
whatever
that-
can
I'm
go
glad you
wrong.
brought that up, Lucas.
I know
I-
you are.
I want to
'Cause I
add
gotta-
off on that for a
Go ahead.
second. So, Jerry, I've been skeptical of Jerry for a while, but the thing
Me
that
too.
I think is holding back the Cowboys, especially right now, is the fact that Jerry is both the GM and the owner.
He has to stop being the GM.
Yeah,
And he might need to
gotta
fire
give.
his son. He might need to fire
Yeah.
his son.
And not even that. Maybe his son can be a good GM. I don't know, or a good owner, whatever it is, but he needs to hire a competent GM because after that whooping on primetime, and listen, I've been whooped on primetime, Earl, by your team. So I understand. But at the same time, it's so weird to me that Jerry, after that, can come up and be like, Dak's going to take us to a Super Bowl. What showed you that? it makes me wonder where his mind is and what is up.
How old is
I
Jerry?
can tell you where he just had a birthday. He's in his 80s.
Okay,
Yeah, I think he's
there's no
84.
reason he needs to be involved with the team anymore.
Yeah. He
Actively.
cannot
Right.
be making decisions for that team, especially a fan base who hasn't seen a championship. Listen, I was born in 96. Y'all won your last championship February of 96. I was born in October.
I was 5.
I was 4.
Yeah, I wasn't even born yet when y'all last won your last Super Bowl. And he sits there and makes it like, give me patience. No, dude. No, not anymore. And
You are
that's what I'm like
absolutely.
confused for. Like, that's what I'm so confused about.
Let me
What?
tell you what's going on. I found a clip where Jerry Jones talked to one of the Cowboy radio stations where before he bought the Cowboys or in time when he brought the Cowboys, he talked to the great coach Bill Walsh. And he talked to him for about 4 hours. And one thing that Bill Walsh told him, and the number one thing that you should do when you own a team, never grow an attachment to a player. Jerry Jones has done that multiple times since he's
Yeah,
been
he
the owner.
has.
And the situation that's going on with this team now is football politics, in which I've seen too many prospects, too many players that have busted their tail in the preseason to make the team, never got a chance to see the field during the regular season.
You mean
And
like
the
Will
reason
Greer?
why I have this problem is that he constantly protects players. The reason he kept Tyron Smith, attachment. The reason why he kept Sean Lee when he was playing with the Cowboys, attachment. Because Sean Lee even said when he had his injuries, if he went to any other team, he would be a free agent. Jerry Jones keeps these guys on the team, and it hurts players that have fought and earned the right to play on the field. For instance, Leighton Vander Esch, he just got hurt. He hurt his neck. I hope he makes a full recovery. But at the same time, I'm thinking about his health outside of football. He's had not one, but 2 times where he had to get examinations on his neck to have surgery. He's not the same player when we drafted him. And everybody and their mother knows that he doesn't have it anymore. And he constantly stole reps for young linebackers that Dallas had in the past 2 drafts. One that really just ticks me off, they released Devin Harper. He never got a chance to play in the regular season. He led both preseasons, back-to-back season with tackling, led the preseason in tackling. He was the leading tackler. He never got a chance to play in the game. And even when we were preaching to get him on the field, the day later, they waived him and they tried to get him back. He ended up getting picked up by the Bengals practice squad. I can't tell you how angry I am is that we lost Jabril Cox. He's with Washington.
Yeah, he is.
We lost Devin Harper. He's with the Bengals. We lost 2 young guys that was the future for the linebacker crew. Our linebacker crew is so thin, they had to convert a safety to play a linebacker. That's insane. They had Vander Esch, Damone Clark, who was a linebacker, and then
Praying
Marquise
for Vander
Bell.
Esch, by the way. Praying for him.
Yes, praying for Vander Esch. But this time, with him hurt, this gives other linebackers a chance to play, in which I hope Micah shifts to linebacker, his original spot.
I was about to say, wasn't he originally a linebacker?
Yes. They saw he had pass rush abilities. He ran a 4.36 at the pro day. He is a linebacker who can rush the passer. But at the same time, I'm ready for them to utilize him as a linebacker because he can go sideline to sideline. If you want to bounce to the outside, good luck. Mike is there. I got a chance to see him do it his rookie year, and he was a little shaky with it, But there's games I saw flashes where he did show up. He even lined up on receivers. I can.
But
He's a talented player. I need to see him more at linebacker, and hopefully with this Van Der Esch injury, I pray that he makes a full recovery. But this also gives the chance to put Micah at linebacker and have an initial pass rush.
so
I'm ready to see it.
Earl,
Maurice, hang on. We gotta keep on moving. Earl, real quick before we move on, who's your player of the game for the Cowboys?
My player of the game is Brandon Aubrey, the kicker.
Okay. All right, guys. So we're gonna start this new thing where we look at stats from the NFC East throughout the season. It's been a couple weeks now, so I'm gonna let Mal take it away.
All right. So this is really cool. So let's start with the Giants, because there's not much good to come from the Giants, but this is one good thing. So Jason Pinnock leads the NFL in interception return yards with 1 interception and 102 yards. Pretty cool. Eagles, A.J. Brown has 541 yards and DeAndre Swift has 434 and are both 4th in yards for their respective positions. Commanders, Sam Howell, with everything he's been through, is 6th in passing yards. He has 1,349 yards and has an NFL high of 29 sacks.
Don't get me started on that.
I know, but let's say Sam Howell is doing the best he can with the situation he has. So just
That's
think
true.
about when it gets better, how good he can be.
That is very true.
Yep. And then Cowboys, Earl, Deron Bland is tied for 1st in the NFL with 3 interceptions.
That's
So
pretty good.
he's looking good with Trayvon being out for the year.
I'm to the
And that's what
point
we got.
now. I'm to the point now with Bland. He's got to continue the pace. If anything, the trade deadline is coming up at some point. I hope they're on the phones with the Broncos about Pat Surtain.
Yeah, I was about to say Broncos should be on a fire sale right now.
Yeah, they just released Frank Clark.
Did they really? Wow.
they
Maurice,
did.
I was impressed to see that A.J. Brown is 4th in reception yards and DeAndre Swift, who basically didn't play one game, is 4th in running back yards. Though the number 2 was very surprising, was that Dolphins rookie that didn't even really make his debut until he had that humongous game in week 3.
Devin Akane?
Yeah.
how you say
awesome.
A-Chain?
H-N.
Oh,
Is
it's
that
Achin?
Okay.
Yeah, it's H-N.
All right.
He's been balling out, but they put him on IR. He's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Ankle injury, right?
No, the
Yep.
knee. The Giants unfortunately hurt him.
You know what's interesting about Swift?
No, it's unfortunate. I'm
Come
upset.
on.
He's on my fantasy. He's on my personal fantasy team.
Not
I'm so
our
upset.
league. Not our league. Earl has him.
No,
in
not
our
our league. Yeah, I know. I know.
I'll say one thing about Swift. He has 434 yards, only on 76 carries.
That's really good.
Swift is turning up.
That's a nice stat line.
I mean, even now that he's kind of cooled off, he's still getting around 70 yards a game, which is pretty darn good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right,
And,
guys.
Yeah,
Sorry,
McCaffrey has 510 yards on 99 carries. Just so you know.
Yeah, actually, the Cowboys did a good job slowing him down, so you can take that as a positive, Earl. They just couldn't stop everybody else.
Hey,
that was not a shot. That's just honesty.
Little
That being said, we are on to our 2-minute drill. So, Earl, you're going to start us off, and then I'm going to go, Maurice, and then Mal. You guys ready for this?
Yep.
Ready?
All right. Earl, take it away.
All right, so I had the Jaguars and Bills, the first game. Unfortunately, they didn't do the Toy Story. It was just a regular game. But the Jaguars defeated the Bills 25-20. The next game I had was the Saints against the Patriots. And the Patriots had a powdered donut. They lost 34-0.
Feels like the end of Bill Belichick era.
It does.
It's looking like it. And then the last game I had was the Monday night game with the Packers and Raiders. The Packers lost 17-13.
I think that's their
Jordan
third
Love
or
had,
fourth loss in a row.
yeah, I think Jordan Love had 3 interceptions that
Yeah, he
game.
did. I dropped him from fantasy after that.
Yeah.
Ayo.
Yeah, he's in that line of just a mini turnover machine type
Yeah.
thing.
He's going through a rough stretch. That being said, let's go to my block here. I got 2 games that I covered. First one is the Colts versus the Titans. Colts won despite Anthony Richard going down with an AC joint injury. Does not look good for him. They still have Gardner Minshew, so really good backup. And then the second game was the Houston Texans versus the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks were able to pull this out in a surprising fashion. You know, CJ Stroud looks like every bit be a really good quarterback. He just needs better weapons. Good win by the Falcons.
All right, and I got the Chiefs who beat the Vikings 27-20. Patrick Mahomes had 281 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Looks like the Chiefs are still on that Swifty ride. And
Sick of it. I am sick of it.
the NFL has really got behind it. I'll say that much.
They're overplaying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Lions defeated the Panthers 42-24. Jared Goff had 236 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Those 3 touchdowns came in the first half, guys.
Yeah. Their
Ayo.
defense is great.
Oh, okay. So I had the Steelers and the Ravens, and the Steelers won 17-10. George Pickens had 6 receptions for 130 yards and one touchdown. He absolutely cooked Marlon Humphrey after Marlon came back after his foot surgery for that game-winning touchdown. Then I had the Bengals versus the Cardinals. The Bengals won 34-20. Joe Burrow went back to his normal self. He was 46, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception.
It's amazing
and then
how
I
they get Chase involved.
Yep. And then Jets versus the Broncos, and the Jets won 31-21. Breece Hall is back. He had 22 carries for 177 yards, 1 touchdown.
Nathaniel Hackett got his revenge.
That's it.
Man, is it really Nathaniel Hackett getting his revenge, or the Broncos being that awful?
The
Either
Broncos
way,
are
he
pretty
got his
awful.
revenge.
We'll see how the Broncos do against the Jets, how they do versus Maurice's Eagles, and we'll circle back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right, so we can move on to the poll question of the week. Actually, this time we have 2 poll questions. The first poll question was, Giants fans, if contracts didn't matter, who would you rather have, Daniel Jones or Zach Wilson, the 2 quarterbacks from the New York teams? And overwhelmingly, it was Daniel Jones. I think we have to remember that Twitter is mostly Giants fans.
But but they live in New York. I'm sorry, Mal.
Yeah, they see
I
it,
gotta
they see
say that I think I'd rather have Zach Wilson at this point.
I mean, I'll never agree with that. I think that's recency, but I think that's total recency bias based off of his Chiefs game. But sure.
I mean, he didn't play terrible against the Broncos either.
I mean, he's not good.
I mean,
But
neither is
sure.
Daniel Jones.
I mean, Daniel Jones is way more athletic than Zach Wilson. But carry on.
Congratulations.
I'll give Mal that. He at least gives you something with his legs.
Yeah,
Okay.
carry on.
All right, and the second poll question was, who is most likely to be gone after the season? Now, on both Facebook and Twitter, this was overwhelmingly Ron Rivera.
Yeah, it was.
Ron Rivera, Mike McCarthy, Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott. Now, for me, Ron Rivera wasn't really shocking, but the number two votes were kind of surprising to me, because most people think that Mike McCarthy is the scapegoat over Dak Prescott. Now, we just had a whole conversation about Dak Prescott, and he's
Mhm.
not
I'ma
the
say
guy.
both.
You'll say both? Earl?
Yes, if they don't fix what's going on, and not all of it's Dak's blame, but I put blame on the coaching and preparation from McCarthy. If he doesn't right the wrong that happened this past week, yeah, it's gonna be some questions about should they let him go at the end of the season? Who knows? If they got the Chargers coming up. That's the Kellen Moore Bowl. If he loses to Kellen Moore,
Ew. Not
Let me
only
ask
if
you
Forgot that
he
something.
y'all
Let
loses,
got
me
the
well,
Chargers.
okay. It
let me
depends
ask you this, Earl, real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, Earl. Let me ask you this: would you want Kellen Moore back right now?
Ooh, I know the answer to that question.
what is the answer, Lucas?
It's no, you do not.
Yep, exactly.
The
Don't
I
waste
agree.
I
Kellen
just think
Moore.
I
The
just think
offense looked a
Dallas
lot
needs.
better with Kellen Moore.
Really?
And where did that lead them in the postseason?
Yeah, that's true, but I
Not
mean,
being killed by the 49ers.
yeah, I mean, you score more than 10 points. I think with Kellen Moore calling your plays.
Well, they
I think
scored
Mike McCarthy
13 and
is
12
taking
the
on.
last 2 times. So
Well, I'll
yeah,
think-
say this. I'll say this. Kellen Moore is a little bit too pass happy as an offensive coordinator. We've seen it.
he's a
cost.
Wait.
He
Back
is.
up.
He is.
Earl,
He is.
do you have an offensive coordinator?
Ryan
Who?
Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even realize. To be honest.
Like I said,
I got-
the
I
Cowboys
got killed by the Cowboys 40-0, so I don't really have skin in the game, but I thought Mike was just calling all the plays from here on out.
I mean, he is,
was
but
getting some examinations from Schottenheimer. That's why I think this whole thing is stupid. If you had McCarthy calling the plays, make him the offensive coordinator, but to have the
Yeah.
title of offensive coordinator, you gave it to Schottenheimer. I'm glad Schottenheimer is in here because I love his tenacity. When I hear him talk at
Yeah.
the press conferences, I believe it. But
Yeah.
seeing it on the field, I know that's not him. That's McCarthy. And
Yeah.
if I'm good not having Kellen Moore that's pass happy, and then have Mike McCarthy saying, "Yeah, I want to run the ball. I've been in the farm and I was getting examinations, seeing what in today's offense and everything. Yeah, I want to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to. What happened with just 10 points? Unacceptable. I would have them both gone, give Schottenheimer the reins, get a new coach in. But overall, they got to clean stuff up.
yeah. Look, I think if one's gone, I think they're both gone because Dak's in a contract year essentially, and McCarthy is on. He already did his Hail Mary last offseason by taking over play calls. Ron Rivera is obviously the odd man out here. I think Daniel Jones will be hard to move. I know I talked about at the beginning of the podcast he should be traded for is Russell Wilson, but in all actuality, I don't think many, if any, teams want to take on Daniel Jones's contract right now because it looks like a massive overpay.
I was going to say that contracting could be easy to move.
No, it's not. So I think if we're putting this in order, I would say
Both
Ron
him and Dak.
Ron Rivera's out first, then probably followed by Dak. Then Dak and McCarthy are probably tied for second, and then Danny's fourth. I don't get me wrong. I think the Giants would move on from Daniel Jones if they could.
100%.
Wow. So you're saying after 5 weeks, they just gave him an extension, a new contract. After 5 games, you would think the Giants would get rid of Daniel Jones?
I think they would because look, I've said this before. I believe in my heart of hearts that last offseason was a flash in the pan. And I know that's hurtful for Mal, but it's my honest opinion. Because
it's not hurtful. I hear you.
But because
I hear you.
outside of last season,
it's a fever dream.
Outside of last season, what has he done? What has he done?
It's not what he has done. I think it would be a lot easier to move on from him if he didn't have this awful of a situation in front of him. You can't move on from a person that you think is your franchise quarterback after not building a line around him. That's where I blame the Giants. The Giants didn't do their due diligence. They paid a franchise quarterback who they paid $40 million to, and then didn't protect him.
Yep.
If you want to see what the actual result is, put the actual money where your mouth is. And that's my thing.
But the thing is, there's been other bad offensive lines where quarterbacks can still play. Like, I mean, look at Sam Howell.
This is historically the worst offensive line in NFL history.
I don't know, Mal. I
I
mean,
think
my
it's the
quarterback's
worst
been
that
The
sacked.
Zach
stats are
had.
right there.
Well,
The stats
well,
are right there.
you
They're
you
right there.
you both both Giants and Commanders have pretty much the same problem, and me and Lucas talked about this on Sunday. Both your offensive lines are trash. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna be clear.
100%.
I was about to say,
They're
you can't use the
absolute
offensive line
garbage.
argument against me because my offensive
No.
line is just as bad, and my
I mean-
quarterback's less mobile than yours.
No, 100%. But at the same time,
I think
Daniel
my
Jones has
quarterback's
barely had any
put together.
confidence. And to be quite honest, this is where I think the difference comes in. I don't want to go too long into this, but where I think the difference comes into this is the fact that Daniel Jones has been destroyed since the day he's been drafted. Nobody had any faith in him. He did the best he could to be as strong as he could, and he's a tough dude. But in the end, when you get your almost neck snapped in half, can't really blame the dude. He has no confidence. His team has no confidence. There's nothing behind it. I
Well,
can't judge Daniel Jones. I mean, after the season he had, can't judge him after what is in front of him.
well,
At least not
let
right
me
now.
ask you this, Mal. Let me ask you
Mhm.
this because you brought up Andrew Luck earlier.
Mhm.
Do you think Daniel Jones should retire?
I think he should.
Wow.
This
I think
early?
he should.
Wow, really?
I think
Wow.
he I mean, after 2 significant neck injuries, after your franchise not really standing behind you, absolutely. I do.
Well,
You know what?
I fear for him.
I agree with
I
that.
fear for
I
him.
think
I
Wow.
truly,
I think
truly,
LVE should retire too, because
I
he's had
truly,
neck problems
truly,
too.
I truly, truly feel for him. I think that he needs to take a step back and realize that, like, at this point in time, nobody is in his corner besides the few of us. And he's going to get himself really hurt, and he's going to affect his long-term health. I think that Daniel Jones should really consider what he wants if Dable and Shane don't turn this around. I will say that.
I don't
I'll
think
give them
that. I don't
one
think.
more
I
season.
don't think they can. You don't have the
They
personnel.
gotta try. They gotta try.
Like,
Yeah,
what
the thing-
personnel? I'm sorry.
Exactly. The dude has already been sacked more than Andrew Luck. Already,
Yeah.
and Andrew Luck already called it a day. And after 2 significant neck injuries, I fear for Daniel Jones. I fear for him.
Andrew Luck retired at, I want to say, 28 or 29.
29.
Yeah.
29.
And Daniel Jones is
And
not
then
even 26.
He's
Luke
27.
as well.
Well,
I
you
will
know
tell
what?
you-
He could get. He's already made a lot of money. He could do it if he wanted
I
to.
will tell him this: protect yourself. Don't ruin who you are as a person and your health for what is going on right now, because in the past 5 years that he's been here, we have not helped him. We have not. So we don't know what Daniel Jones will ever be, and I don't think we will ever.
Mm.
And I would prefer him look out for himself. I'm very nervous for him, and that's how I'll end that.
Well, that's a
agree
good
with that.
segue to leave the reality of sports, the harsh reality of sports, and to get into fantasy sports now.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yes. Good old fantasy sports. The winners this past week was Maurice and Lucas.
Yay! I'm back on time.
Mal and I took L's in our matchups. I can talk about my matchup. The biggest problem was DJ Moore.
Oof.
Yeah, he had
I'm
50 points.
sorry.
I was
I'm
down.
sorry.
I was
I'm
down
sorry.
from the jump. So I was playing catch up.
Man, let me just say this. It didn't help that our starting safety went out too with injury. And I think he might have went on an IR. So,
looking at this matchup right here, basically 2 guys beat Earl.
Josh
guys had
Allen and
50
DJ
points.
Moore. 50 points.
mm,
All I
dang,
had was Mahomes and HN.
that's
Diggs
not
gave you
enough.
something. Diggs gave you 19. Gabriel Davis gave you 19. This is what happens when you pick your own defense. Your own team's defense. The Cowboys hit -1.
I started the
Hey,
49ers
it's-
defense that week too.
Hey, it was confidence. I didn't expect them to not show up and quit by the time of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about my matchup because for the second time this season, I got to beat Mal's boyfriend, which felt pretty good.
Ooh, yeah, I know.
I did it first.
That's true.
Let me shake your hand virtually over the microphone. But no, in all seriousness, I won 142 to 104. The thing is, Sam Howell had 47 fantasy points, but he wasn't even my best quarterback. I had Jared Goff on the bench, who had 50, almost 51. Travis Kelce showed up with a touchdown. He had 15. Also got good contributions from Bijan Robinson and Isaiah Pacheco. Jalen Waddle. Is that Pacheco? Is that how you say it? Pacheco, okay. And then Jalen Waddle had a touchdown, 12.5. And then the 49ers defense really showed up for me, had 18. That was fantastic.
Yeah, didn't expect it.
I did. That's why I started them. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
you had some feelings in your jellies, didn't you?
And by the way, I forgot to do this at the beginning of the podcast, but let's review week five predictions here real quick, because that's what we normally do, and that was my bad for not getting on it. But week 5, besides Earl, we all had the Cowboys losing to the 49ers.
And let's real quick. I know Earl's upset about the Cowboys losing. And they really did get beat down.
I am past it.
The 49ers,
I'm past it.
I understand. The 49ers are the best team in football. Right
now. Absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy is looking like the next
undisputed.
Next thing. They have 2 MVP candidates on their team.
Yeah.
It's their scheme.
And right now, from my perspective as an Eagles fan, our biggest game of the year is going to be against the 49ers.
Agreed.
That's going to be a huge game. That's probably going to be who has the number 1 seed in the NFC conference.
Yeah, I agree. So going to your Eagles, we all had them winning. They won. The Giants, we all had them losing. That happened. And the Commanders, we all had them winning, which I am sad to say they did not fit up to the bill there. I can't believe I forgot to do that until this. Dang.
I mean, you did go up against a team with no wins. So
guys, I know. Look,
they got beat up by a receiver, bro.
Look. I get it.
They got scorched by
Ron
one
Rivera
receiver.
And Jack Del Rio need to be fired. You don't need to remind me again. You don't need to remind me.
So
I'm looking at the big Lucas from fantasy, Lucas. Literally.
We can move on to my team real quick in fantasy because it was a pretty pedestrian win. I only scored 100 points, but our guy Wes, he didn't really set his lineup.
No, he did not.
I forgot.
I think Wes has officially given up on the fantasy season.
If
you guys want to make a trade with him, let me know. I'll message him and see if he's willing to do the trade. I've already been able to pick up Austin Eckler from him, so.
I need to run
highway robbery.
I'm trying to get some guys too, but I sent a trade.
Just text me when you send the trade again, and I'll text him. Okay.
All right, bet.
So I scored 100 points. Wes scored 63. So I barely won, but
yeah, you got lucky that he didn't even. I think his quarterback got injured, or they were on a bye week. I don't remember.
I started Anthony Richardson at quarterback, and unfortunately, he went down with that shoulder.
Is he going to be out for the season? Is that like a thing, or is it? We don't know yet.
We don't know yet, but I think he's going to really have to think about his play style going forward because he is a mobile quarterback and he's taken a lot of hits so far.
I was about to say he's had like 3 injuries so far this year already, right?
Yes, it's a lot, and this is his rookie year, so he needs to slow down a little bit.
You don't want to be the next RG3, and I can say that.
Yeah.
Washington doomed RG3.
Man, don't get me started on that.
His rookie year.
I know.
But with that said, Richardson went down. But Joe Burrow is coming back to life. He had 44 points. I had him on my bench. Travis Etienne had 34. So I always say his name wrong. I don't know. But anyway, Etienne. I'll get it right. I will get it right. Etienne.
You got it. You got 12 weeks to go.
Yeah, so pretty much I'll make some changes in my lineup going forward next week. But as I always say, a win is a win.
A win is a win. All right, Maurice, how about you do our week 6 matchups and then do our outro, man? We're going over an hour now.
For week 6 matchups, we have the Commanders versus the Atlanta Falcons, Eagles versus the Jets, Giants versus the Bills in a state game, and the Cowboys.
Tyrod Taylor masterclass.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did play for the Bills, didn't he?
Yep.
And the Cowboys with another tough game against the Chargers.
Man,
Monday night, Kellen
man,
Moore Bowl.
Commanders got to win against the Falcons. If we don't, we're done. Our season's lost.
I'll say
said what I
this.
said. That game, if McCarthy loses to Kellen Moore,
you guys can still make the playoffs, so that's the thing. You just won't make it. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
me and Lucas
understand
are going to
that.
be really shot after this week if we don't move forward.
Mal, I think, no offense, but I think you're already shot there.
We're shot. It's fine. But
And
I'm
the
saying you're
Commanders
joining
as
me
well.
on the couch, Lucas.
I mean, yeah, I'll be joining you on the couch. We'd be passing some popcorn. It just can't be kettle corn, okay?
That sounds good to me.
what you got against kettle corn, sir?
Man, kettle corn ain't nothing. It ain't good.
Dang.
It's the worst type of popcorn.
I'm the
Hurts my
first
feelings.
one on
Oh,
this
there
train,
you
so
go.
I need y'all to start joining me slowly but surely.
Actually, hang on. No, it's not the worst. The caramel popcorn is the worst.
Oh, no.
I can't.
Nah, that caramel be hidden, bro.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
It be hidden.
I like that. I like either
Slaps.
the theater popcorn or that cheddar popcorn that you can get in those Christmas bits. You know, like how you get
Because
those
it's
Christmas
cheese.
like
You love
3.
cheese, Lucas.
Don't worry about the cheese,
You
man.
love
Just
cheese.
listen. Just listen. You know how you got those Christmas popcorn like container things, that tin containers? They come with 3 different flavors of popcorn. The cheese flavor in that one's is boss. I'm just going to say that.
I'm simple. Give me some crunchy
You
munch.
you agree with my point then? Cheese.
Yeah,
You
man.
love
You
cheese.
Earl, you already know what my life's about. Don't even question it right now. All right. So, Maurice, how about you play us out?
With that said, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at 13_rings podcast. Thank you for listening.
See ya.
Good night, y'all.
Go Phils.
Blessings.